Sam. I am currently building a nonprofit neutral AI hub in Kendall Square, which I'll be telling you a bit about. I'm affiliated with CIC. It's a company that my father happened to found, and I recently have returned to Boston. Oh, I'm seeing something new. And I've recently returned to Boston to try to consolidate a lot of the AI community in a very physical way, looking at communities. And that's my mission here. Why don't we move on? I'll try to keep it short.
Yeah, just keep it short. We'll do a few more intros. Go ahead, Adam. You want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure thing. Hello, Adam Tovum, based here in Newton, and do a lot of sales and marketing leadership, and also on the faculty of Brandeis University's Business School over in Waltham.
Great, welcome. Amanda, you want to say hello?
Yeah, hi, my name is Amanda Goodwin. I've also built my career heavily in broadcast sales and marketing. I'm a GBH alum. For years, ran all of the on-air fundraising across all of their television and radio stations. So sorry, not sorry for all of those pledge messages. I also I ran the nonprofit side of Life is Good for many years as well. So they were a trauma-informed care organization that worked with hospitals, enrichment programs, and early education centers. And then I've just spent the last 5 years operating 40 preschools and early education centers here in New England, and have recently transitioned to my first time to a startup. And so I'm currently with an organization called Fiverity, which is based out of Boston, and we specialize in preventing digital fraud for community banks and credit unions. So very much based here in New England, been a little bit all over. Newer to the AI space, but the company I'm involved with now is heavily in use of AI and looking to be a partner in recruiting top AI talent to the Bay State.
Well, we're delighted you're here. Welcome. Let's do two more intros, then we'll
Thanks.
start. We won't be able to intros for everyone. Go ahead, Alice, and then we'll do Tuck.
Hi. I, like Amanda, I work at this Boston-based startup called Fiverity, and my role with Fiverity is I am a UX designer and researcher. So we are.
We're delighted. Thank you. Thank you. I should be quick for the
Okay.
Tuck. Want to do a quick intro?
Hi, Tuck Rickards, Russell Reynolds. I have done kind of tech recruiting for 20 years, and most of my time in Boston. I split a little bit of time in the Bay Area, so bring that kind of East Coast, West Coast perspective. We're doing lots of work around kind of a CEO board view on AI and leadership, and really, glad to be part of this. So thank you.
Well, fantastic. So let's get started. We won't have time to do all the intros, but in the chat is the shared everything document, and people can start putting in their names and networking if they want. That would be helpful. We have 55 minutes and we're going to end on time. So let's get started. And I see Rory from the state. Morning, Rory. If you can give us up, Rory, later on the agenda, if you can give us a quick update on the task force, that would be fabulous. Great. So the goal of this group is a volunteer group, and it's just to figure out who's got passion and a doer mentality for attracting, retaining AI talent. People I've talked about so far in this call and others have a real passion for that, and that's what this group is. We keep it really light and think of it like an engineering sprint. So we meet once a month. The second time on an open Zoom meeting. It's open to the public. We have 3 or 4 tactical things we get done, and we track those each month. And it's very much in complementary and in coordination with the much larger AI strategic task force that Governor Healy has that we'll hear about here in a second. In our first call, which you can watch the video, we talked a little about some of the core problems. I really want to go on updates on action items for last, and we had 3 from a meeting last week. So Sam, you want to get an update on co-location?
I'd love to. Thanks, Paul, again for putting this together. It's amazing to see how many more people here this time compared to last time. Growing quick. I'm very quickly to describe it, starting a nonprofit AI hub in Kendall Square. It's based on neutrality, diversity, and proximity. The meaning behind that is, if you want to envision it, is trying to get as many AI entrepreneurs under one roof as possible, but from as many different fields and domain knowledges as possible, going and bringing the value of their perspectives and their interactions under a neutral platform where lots of different accelerators, VCs, emerging investors, angel investors can all participate in making a really fast funnel for companies to quickly move through, succeed quickly or fail fast, and to benefit from that proximity. So neutral in the sense that they all can participate, diverse in the sense they're from many fields, and then proximate in the sense that it will be a physical community. And I've got a line on a space that will be announced soon that can accommodate probably around 100. And so this is likely to be application-based, looking at criteria for entry around those intentional diversity models. And I think that's probably all I've got to say for the moment, except that this is going to be launched really soon. We're rolling. So announcement coming up. I'm looking for people who want to get involved from the point of view of sponsorship, to support a lot of the programming, which I could talk about with anyone who's interested. I'm looking for people who want to jump in the community management side and help me think about what all the contributions from the members to the members can be within this space. And I'm looking for people who generally want to give me feedback about what they think a good way to solve the problems of the fragmented community that we've talked about in our last meeting are under this platform in terms of all of those stakeholders playing nice together. So if you are one of those stakeholders, or if you are an AI founder, I want to talk to you and I want to get your opinions. I think I'll move right on to Luda.
Yeah, no, thank you, Sam. So if people want to contact Sam, it's in the shared document. And so Sam, make sure I'm hearing correctly. This is a space for 100 AI startups, a physical space in the Boston area you're working on. It's going to be launched soon. You don't yet have a date, and you've got a specific ask for people to email you with who want to contribute.
You can see my LinkedIn in this document. That's a good way to find me. And I think exactly as you said, Paul, this is probably live in the next couple weeks. So stay tuned.
Super exciting. Great. So thank you, Sam. That's a great update. Luda, one of the things that you and JP committed to was giving a summary of some of the facts in the region. Do you want to walk through that? I know you have some slides.
Oh, Paul, it says stop other screen sharing. Could you pull my presentation if you don't mind?
Oh, sure. Happy to share it.
Or I can share now if, yeah.
Why don't you go ahead and share if you can?
Okay.
And Luda, what do you want out of this? Is update for people, or do you want or just update and education?
So it's we talked about the fragmentation. We talked about a lot of things last time. So I said I was not clear what the problem was. It's fragmented. We have fragmented efforts. We're good at it. So I just went off with some JP input to try to pull it together. So I will tell you what I found. It's a disclaimer. I didn't spend that much time on it, but there's some thoughts, and I think that might be useful. So let me just.
Luda, would you mind? Oh yeah, full screen. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, hold on a second. It needs to go back. Okay, so focused on attract and retain AI talent for New England, right? So what is it, the AI talent? I put 3 categories: founders that want to create a startup looking for co-founders, talent to expand AI startups, and talent for the industry to develop strategies, define and implement the AI things, right? And it includes business and technical talent. I didn't include other things, and we can talk about it, but this is what I thought would be most useful. So many of you have seen, Paul has shared to this group 4 reports. One of the reports is MassTech AI report. It has this wonderful chart. As you can see, there are lots of startups.
Larger shifts would be where I see our opportunity to make sure that whatever
Paul, could you mute? Yeah. So there are many startups in it's sort of using AI. We are good at venture capital. We're good at academic research and the like. So it presents a good picture. We all know it's fragmented, but it's a good picture. Also, this is a nice, interesting chart for number of AI firms per 100K residents by state. As you can see, Delaware is an outlier because of the corporate incorporate.
Luda, I think I muted you. I muted everyone. Luda, you mind unmuting?
Oh, okay. I thought it was just
Can
me.
you see? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, no, we can. Yeah, I just muted everyone because someone was
Okay.
still. So go ahead, Luda.
So I ran a very short survey. It wasn't a survey monkey or anything. I just asked people I know, how did they find, and it's 2 questions. How do you do now? And if you had a magic wand, what would happen? So category 1, co-founders. How do you find your current co-founders? And you can see what they said, right? If you had a magic wand, what would make it easier? Many said Y Combinator has a tool, and it's a search tool. If we had it with the local talent, that would be splendid. Category 2 with the magic wand said active AI hub, Sam, that might be you, with frequent regular meetings that can be used as a hiring platform. And we can talk about like having tables and whatnot on the regular basis. Right, category 3, I haven't gotten to. That's the industry, and hopefully we'll get there next week, and I'll share next time.
Excuse me, but I just want to. So we're trying to segment problems. You're segmenting 2 problems here: the problem in the AI startup lane, if you will, and then
Correct.
there's another problem in the AI hiring lane for medium and large size companies and even startups, and that's a different problem. But you're just highlighting it on the bottom of the slide, correct?
Correct.
Right.
So I'm highlighting it. I would get more data. I haven't gotten to that yet, right? So on the as a backdrop, the technical talent is in short supply. So these are some data points saying software developers is in shortage, right? And it affects everyone, not just Massachusetts, but AI talent is a specialization of the software developers, technical ones. So what about Massachusetts? I went a couple of times to Indeed and LinkedIn to try to see what is happening with demand, right? So high demand, it accelerates, as you can see, data within a month, a week, 24 hours. Interestingly, experience level that is people are looking for is mid and senior. And my suggestion as we go forward, we focus on the mid to senior level, not on the junior, because as you know, LLMs can actually develop the software code and do quite a bit of junior level development. So mid and senior level, I would suggest we focus on. So where's the supply, right? Massachusetts is not very good at retention. And we have a leakage that is also everybody due to immigration visas problem, right, situation. And the state is proposing to do things about it. The graduate level, the fresh graduates is not as big, right, as you can see. So the supply is quite small versus the demand. So on the other hand, we have a lot of software developers in the state. And so I looked at it and I know from just talking to a number of them that many of them are trying to get reskilled and upskilled into AI. Found this site that is worth looking at. So also we have boot camps, but they're not you need to focus on going after them. And some have job placements. Good job placements into the industry program. So it's worth noting. So some deductions. Mid and senior level, from my perspective, is a problem. On the supply side, focus on the retention and attraction, my thinking would be, and use some of those placement programs and reskilling programs, but popularize them. So some ideas for what we might want to do, and Sam, maybe with a physical space and a website, we can get some of those popularized. So my thinking is if we could lease or whatever, Y Combinator like, put local talent on it or allow local talent, like focused, create a hub with that frequent meetings and the like, focus on retention and focus on attraction.
Wonderful.
I'm sorry, it was way more than 5 minutes, but I tried.
Thank you, Luda. Yes, I just want to keep pushing. So, Luda, thank you for pulling that together. So, I want to highlight as we keep driving down the problem statement. So, one, we have the problem statement of founders finding each other. Luda talked about that. We have the problem state of small, medium, large companies hiring medium and high level executives or IT talent. We talked about that. A third problem we haven't talked about, and this is not criticism, is AI startups leaving. So that's one that's been highlighted a few times, and upskill and everything else. But Luda, this was a fantastic. I'm going to grab back. Actually, do you mind stop sharing? I'll go back.
Yeah, stop sharing. Yeah.
And Paul, one note that I brought up last time is I think from a state perspective, kind of the bang for the buck, or at least how I've looked at economic development before, is it's okay if startups leave. It's still a success story if they're made here. We'd love to retain them. But as long as there's a steady flow of more creation than exit, from an economic development dollar perspective, that's still really impactful.
Yeah, correct. Yes, and I'll go to Beth. Yeah, David, my only point is, as I mentioned, some folks here, when I was at iLab over at Harvard, 2,000 students go through that, 1,000 are international. All the international students come with the notion that they have to go to California to do AI, to do a startup. No one's told them that there's stuff here. So I think they should at least, my view is they should at least hear the commercial, and then they should flow wherever they want. But let's at least make sure they get the commercial. Yeah, go ahead, Beth.
Thanks for that, Luda. That was very good. I was wondering about educating people inside of companies that exist already. And the reason I say that is that if you end up being the one person in a small organization that holds on to all of the technical knowledge and all of the work, it can be a very lonely experience and can also be something that drives you out. So I think that there's also education that needs to be done inside of companies, not just recruiting people who have that talent into the companies themselves, because that often doesn't work.
Totally, Beth, totally. I think a lot of HR folks and AI leaders are trying to do that, but it's not an easy thing to do.
No,
actually.
It's not. I agree. I just was thinking it could be part of our goal set as well, not just recruiting talent, but also upskilling people inside of companies. I think in big companies, they have enough dollars and initiative to do it, but in smaller and medium-sized companies, they don't really even know where to start typically.
And Beth, related to that, another problem set is that companies trying to figure out where they want to put their AI hub and choosing Boston. So Amazon chose Boston for part of it. It's Google's big thing here. I see companies doing the same thing here. So I talked with 3 or 4 companies here, and they're literally trying to decide where do we want to have center of gravity for our AI team, which I think reflects right to what you're talking about.
Which means there has to be incentives for it, and this could be one of the incentives. I mean, this is the center of educational excellence in the planet, practically. So we ought to
I'm really glad you mentioned that, Beth. I having done grad school in Pittsburgh at Carnegie Mellon, I've been amazed at what that area has been able to do around things like robotics back in the day.
Yeah.
And I feel like we have even more academic horsepower here. So Paul, I think encouraging people to open up those.
Well, we have more colleges anyway, for sure.
Yeah.
Has there been any
sorry, I meant more colleges. I didn't mean to get into competition.
And Northeastern has a lot of this placement things, right? So if we can scale it and popularize it, I think it will serve as a magnet.
Great. I want to keep driving. So my action item was in-person events. So I've been with Dan Elton keeping this thing up. We're keeping it current, but we'd love to find someone to help take this over and get it out there. I think there's 2 or 3 things, but we continue to find such value. And I think, Sam, maybe some of the stuff you're doing at CNC and your new initiative will help be able to get this physical mixing, which always seems to just accelerate the connection field rather than just feeling like there's a big, huge internet out there. We're delighted to have Rory on the call. So Rory, can you introduce yourself and give us an update on the AI task force, please?
Yes, happily. Thanks, Paul. Good morning, everyone. My name is Rory O'Hanlon. I'm the Deputy Chief of Staff and Director of Policy for the Executive Office of Economic Development. I also want to acknowledge my colleague Ian Chin is on the line as well, who is our Director of Data Initiatives and working very closely with me on the AI task force. So first, very grateful that you, all the leadership here, particularly you, Paul. Just for a background, the governor kicked off or announced an AI task force in February. I met for the first time in early March, and we've been convening working groups the past few weeks, sector specific. And the point of the task force is, if you're not aware, and I can make sure that I think Paul shared this, but we can drop in the press release and other background into the chat or into the share drive. But the idea is we're obviously AI is becoming hugely important, and we are trying to position ourselves to play offense so that we can support the state's leading sectors in the application of AI. We've seen other states make some moves, and we want to make sure that we're also ready ourselves. So we've assembled a task force of about 25 individuals from the public sector, private sector, and academia. We're helping inform and drive some recommendations to help us figure out what the best way is for the state, from a state government role, to support the ecosystem and support all of you. We're segmenting the work stream. So right now we're in a short sprint around sector specific deep dives. We're looking at things like life sciences, advanced manufacturing, robotics, healthcare. There's about 8 in total that we've broken out, and some of whom are on the line here, I think, are participating in that process. We're grateful for that. And that the findings from that group from that work will be reported out May 2nd at the next meeting of the task force. And then we're going to pivot into horizontal. So we're going to pivot into a next phase of the work, looking at things like workforce readiness, labor needs, infrastructure, what in terms of economic incentives, in terms of economic development, what the state should be doing. So all of that work is underway, and we're also all ears at all times for insight from any of you. So I'll make sure that you have my contact information. And Paul's a tremendous resource to us. So is Luda. So we're very grateful for this opportunity. So that's a quick lay of the land. I know Ian's on the line if he wants to add anything further, and if I know David has a call out here too if he wants to jump in.
That's great. So folks, if you've got a question for the state, please raise your hand. And Rory, is there an ask of this group? This is a doer group. We don't talk here, we get stuff done. Do you have an ask, or do you have an ask for next month, or how can this group help specifically?
I mean, we're learning as we go here. So if anyone has any strong insights or points of view, either from what they've seen in other states or other parts of the world, or they're running a business and running into challenges, please feel free to share your thoughts with us, with Ian and I, and we'll take that back. We're definitely in the fact-finding, information gathering phase, and so we certainly won't turn away any information that someone wants to provide or insight someone wants to provide.
Fantastic. Thanks, Roy. Ian, you want to say hi and introduce yourself?
And everybody, Ian Chin. Yeah, grateful to be here. Excited to work on this AI strategic task force with Rory and many members of the AI community. I don't think I have too much to add. I think Roy summed it up pretty well. But yeah, as he said, we are always looking to learn and hear more. And Luda, I was really interested in your presentation, so I'd love it if you could share it with us. I thought there was some pretty
interesting. I'll do a PDF, send it to Paul, and he can share it to everyone.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Thank you. It's great to meet everybody here.
Does anyone have questions for this for Rory or Ian right now?
Quick one here, which is, it would be interesting to hear if there are any other states that we hold up as role models and why, beyond what you've already said, but with a concrete, to your point, Paul, about being a work group, what are some of those other activities going on elsewhere that have been done that could be replicated in a creative Massachusetts way?
In the report, I think it's in Mass AI report, there's a number of these comparisons that you might want to take a look. And I looked at Sweden specifically as a state, as a country that is doing a good job on upskilling, reskilling of labor force.
And I think the question also was to Rory. Rory, we benchmark ourselves as a state against anyone?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, we are definitely, we're looking at this sort of the overall competitive landscape. So we're looking at some of the stuff that Luda called out, seeing, in California and New York and some other areas are doing quite well. New York, they announced a public-private partnership of about $400 million a few weeks before us. So, there's a little bit of a competitive landscape, and I think New York, I dropped a link we were looking at the Y Combinator recently. New York had about 30 companies in there. We had just one. And so I think New York is very much in the fold of someone we're looking at, Ted, and of course, California. And we are looking also, to Luda's point, around the world too. France has done some work on this, Singapore, Sweden. So I think we're constantly, we're very vigilant at the moment of this landscape is rapidly evolving, minute by minute, essentially. So I think that's where I leave it.
Great, thanks. Go ahead, Amanda. Ask your question.
Thanks. Yeah, my question was just, I was wondering if there's any intersection between the governor's task force on housing and the governor's AI task force, just given the amount, just from the presentation that we saw, the amount of graduates that we see leave the state of Massachusetts because of cost of living, and then those who start businesses here, especially while they're in some of our leading education schools and institutions, start something here and go somewhere else because it's just more economically viable. I'm just wondering if there's, from the start, is there a way to have input from the AI task force in the housing task force to solve this particular problem?
Yeah, point well taken, Amanda. We definitely agree with you. We're even in our economic development plan that we did last year, which was sort of the laid the foundation for some of this work. We called out housing as a priority in terms of the state's economy. If we want to be successful, we need to allow the talent to live here and grow here and live a life here. So we're very much a cross-secretariat effort on that. In terms of like direct pollination between the AI task force members and the some of the task force established in housing, there is a couple individuals that I think are straddling both, but for the most part, it's within the Healy Driscoll administration, and we all sort of understand that we need to build a lot more housing in order to allow the talent that particularly Luda's description in her presentation. We need these people to be able to live here, and we can't afford to force them out by the high cost of rents and home prices.
That's good. Let's keep going. Before we go to Aaron's question, the only thing I want to know is that the AI startups that I know that go to California, it's not because of housing cost.
Correct.
So I want to take it the next level down. Everyone keeps talking about the housing cost, but I want to specifically see examples of where startups are going there, or people or AI talent want to come to Boston, but they say, "Oh, it's too expensive here," and then they go to Louisiana. So I think
I agree, Paul. I think we need to have specific examples, because I don't think startups leave Boston and go to California where the housing costs are even higher. No, I don't think this is the case.
Yeah,
There
great.
probably be some other reasons, but I'm not even sure that this is a problem, guys. We need to see examples to state it is a problem.
It's Aaron. Who else had their hand up?
Yeah, sorry. I just wanted to throw another scenario out there, because we are talking a lot about retaining startups, which is important. But 3 years ago, I worked for a London-based startup with a Serbian founder that graduated from the University of Cambridge, 100 people. We were trying to pick a hub in the US. We had a fully remote team. We wanted a central office, and I was trying to make the case for Boston, and there wasn't a lot of material out there to do it. It made perfect sense to me, because I knew that there was Amazon offices with similar technology in the area, but there wasn't much compelling. And from their point of view, New York, Miami, it all looks the same. They were like, "Oh, I want to go somewhere warm and fun." So I do think there's opportunities to pulling companies from other countries, and there's a lot of great AI talent abroad. So
Aaron, I
another
think
angle to think about.
One of the many things on the idea pile is making the case for Boston to be your hub. I think that's a PowerPoint slide to me. It needs to be on the website. That'll be very helpful. Go ahead, Larry, and then we'll go to Judah.
So I just wanted to respond to this and not to belabor it, but I think Amanda is correct, and to sort of push that topic to the side, I think is not the best course of action. So for anyone who didn't hear my intro, I'm a technical recruiter here in Boston. I've been in recruiting for 28 years. And I've seen a significant drop off in especially younger people who do not stay here. And it's unfortunate. When I started in recruiting, Boston was one of the hottest places to be because of the universities. And people, students would study and then either start companies or join companies around here. And, you know, a lot of that has changed. Housing is very expensive. And the other part of this is the transportation. So along with, you know, sort of a cross-pollination between the AI initiative in the state and the housing initiative, transportation has to be part of the discussion. And I know transportation is such a tough issue right now in the area because the transit lines are in need of so much. But if we're talking realistically, these are fundamental issues. Not to say that other states aren't facing the same thing. So, you know, these startup companies are not just going to California, they are going to different parts of the country because people can work virtually. So you can have your office and then you can have people work all over the country. And you know, that has really grown a lot since COVID. But we're talking about Massachusetts today. So I think, you know, the beauty of Massachusetts is the universities will always be the pull. We have some of the best universities in the world here. And I think we have sort of lost our way in terms of the power of that connection. And I'd like to see us go back to it because we once did have that connection. And I don't see it as strongly as today as I did years ago.
Larry, that's fabulous. One of the things on the action list that would love to get some help on is we need to have a Google Doc that has every university and the email contact of their tech club. It's crazy that people at Northeastern don't know the tech clubs everyone else and can't get information out. Jude, are you still on the line or did you have to go to your board meeting? You may have gone to board meeting. I'll cover it. Go ahead, Nico.
No, I am here actually. Sorry about that. It's not for a little while, so I can hang out for a little while longer. Hey,
sorry,
everybody.
Judah, I'm sorry. Just let me hold on 2 seconds. There's 2 other questions here. Go ahead, Nico, then we'll go to Pam.
Yeah, just following up on what was just said about kind of the connection to universities and whatnot, and people talking about some examples. To people who don't know me here, I graduated MIT recently, and a lot of my cohort did move over to New York or California. I feel like that was by far vast bulk of people. I know that at least at MIT, there was with the entrepreneurship club, at least there was an effort to start founding a exchange or startup exchange where startups could start trying to recruit internships and talent and try to advertise those opportunities for more people. So trying to just get those programs or connect them with more businesses, I really do think is one of the ways to go forward with this.
That's great. Thank you, Nico. And it shouldn't be because we don't have email addresses.
I'll be back, Paul. I'm going to take a call. I'll be back in a few minutes. Thanks. Sorry.
Great. Thank you. Go ahead, Pam.
Good morning, everybody. Pam Boris. This is the first time I've joined this call. I did watch the previous recording. One organization that has a really big footprint in the state and has the ear of many of the tech companies is MTLC, formerly known as Mass TLC. I haven't heard them come up or talked about. I know a lot of the folks there, they've really got an infusion of new energy. And I think they would be a really good partner because they have an established, organization, network, and they have events and all sorts of other stuff. So I'd be happy to bring them up to speed, see if there's some there, unless that's already been explored.
Yeah, that would be wonderful. If you could invite them and connect me with them, we'd welcome them the next time. Go ahead, Rosemary. Rosemary, you're on mute.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I don't know how many, hi, I'm Rosemary. I don't know how many startup founders are on this call. I've been going through the list of people signing up, but I but just wanted to know, are there any government, I guess this question is directed to Rory and Ian, any government programs for startup founders, especially at the early stage, which is where I am. And okay, I see that Rory is writing about that already, so that's great. But that was my question, to understand, what's going on government-wise or private public partnerships to support startup founders who are trying to do some work in the AI space, because that really helps.
Rosemary, thank you so much for joining. As a startup founder, where do you go to look for help?
Yeah, I don't know where to go. I'm on LinkedIn all day, like following people like you, Paul, and other people who talk about AI events. I've been going to the Venture Cafe, trying to make connections, but it's really hard. There's no consolidated space or place that is focused on giving some sort of direction for people who are trying to build in the AI space. It's really haphazard. There's no consolidation, and that's not helpful.
Well, we're making progress. Sam's going to get us a space for 100 startups. We're going to get a website that has all the events. We're going to get a list that connects all the colleges. Go ahead, Joseph, and then we'll go to Dan.
Thanks.
Yeah, hey, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep. Thanks so much, Paul, and everyone for putting this meeting together. One thing that my experience working on AI ecosystem building from everywhere from Saudi Arabia to UAE and Nigeria is that in a lot of these emerging tech hubs is that it's usually anchored by an AI center of excellence, specifically in Toronto, where I did my AI master's degree. Through Dr. Jeffrey Hinton, everything is anchored in one center of excellence. But because in Boston there's so many universities, it's a bit fragmented. So I'd love to maybe spend some time, Paul, maybe offline, to kind of share with you some of that work so that we can figure out how to share some of that with the community. And as I told you on the last call briefly, Dr. Howard Winklevoss, the father of the famous Winklevoss twins, the founder of Facebook, invested in my company last week. He invested 150,000 and his CFO invested 25,000. And what we're going to do is we're launching the New Jersey AI ecosystem with that funding. And that New Jersey is my home state. And it's going to be a good kind of a trial before trying to help out and do something in Massachusetts. So maybe I can share with you some of the work that we've done in New Jersey, trying to bring the ecosystem. Of course, in New Jersey, everything's mostly concentrated around Princeton, which makes it a lot easier. But we can, have a lot of learnings there. And one thing we're doing for Massachusetts is we're aggregating a lot of the AI jobs on one portal to make it easier for talent to discover those high value AI jobs.
It's fantastic. Joseph, thank you so much. And the Vector Institute is fantastic in Canada. $30 million public-private partnership, 3 major universities, particularly in Toronto. They got a whole bunch of GPUs around experts like Hinton. And then the AI talent comes, and then the VCs come. So it's one of the models that I've been very impressed with. Go ahead, Dan, then we'll go to Adam.
Yeah, hi everyone. Sorry I was late. I work at Mass General Brigham Data Science Office, which they're going to change to Mass General Brigham AI. I just wanted to say I've been to Silicon Valley many times. I've considered moving there, and I think it's all about network effects and wanting to be where all the cool people are, basically, and also where all the VCs and angel investors are. And, that's why so many other cities I've seen struggle to replicate Silicon Valley, is because there's sort of a flywheel effect and all these network effects. I think Boston is relatively well positioned, actually, because we have so much talent here. We just have to retain the talent. And also, I think having lots of events is important. Having events where people meet each other and they see, oh, there's other cool people here. I recently became an organizer for AI Camp Boston. So definitely check out AI Camp. We're doing an event April 16th. And somebody I talked to, they said, before the pandemic, there were events every week at Microsoft. Every week, there were AI events. I'd like to see that come back, and I think that would be huge. And then, of course, housing is so essential. And you know, anything, the housing is actually around the same here as Silicon Valley. And actually, if you look at the housing stock, it's much older here. So it's not necessarily cheaper than Silicon Valley. That's definitely an issue.
Dan,
But,
Dan, thank you so much. I want to keep pushing here, but Dan, I want to acknowledge Dan up front and publicly for helping get the AI in-person list. Dan, I really appreciate all your help on there, because I get a lot of good feedback on it. I know it needs to be in the website and everything else. And that's
yeah, and we eventually we'd like to get that list integrated with a website and a calendar and everything. Because I think a lot of people are finding it useful just to have all the events kind of in one place. Yeah.
That's great. I'm gonna keep pushing. We just got so much more to cover. Go ahead, Adam, and then we'll go to Andrea. Andrea?
Yeah, as I mentioned, affiliated with Brandeis, and happy to reach out to them. At least get you an email, Paul. So feel free to assign me an action item, but maybe I'll come back with more than that.
And if people don't know me, I'm a real simple. So every project I do, we have an everything document, and it's just put everything in the damn thing here. And this is our.
I'll drop it in myself. I'll drop it in myself.
Right, yeah, so we all can go back to that. It's our poor man's wiki. Andre, I hope I'm saying your name right.
Hey guys, I'm a founder at the Analytic Hub. A few thoughts. So first, a shout out to AI Camp. I co-hosted a couple of times that event, just not when Dan was there. I think those types of events are really good for retraining engineers, and that was one of the topics here. A second thought is, I'm in Lexington. We're working with a group of high school students to work with generative AI. And the nice thing is that actually it's so easy to use generative AI that you can have very nice projects. The project in Lexington is to analyze budget documents for local government. And the nice thing with local government is that there's a ton of documents that are freely available, open, so you can develop a lot of applications for it. So one idea would be basically to try to connect these groups in different high schools that do this type of projects. I know that's a bit like younger future engineers. It's not really current engineers, but I've seen this actually, for example, in California, it's done. We connected with a group there. A third thought is for founders like myself. There's a lot of opportunities to network, to go to meetups, to introduce to VCs, angel investors. Where personally I'm struggling is basically connecting with potential customers that are interested in AI. So basically going to conferences where you find like a flow of people interested to kind of adopt technology. And as a founder, these conferences are sometimes expensive, they're like $2,000, $3,000. So that's kind of one area where personally I struggle with, and I would assume other founders for AI are struggling also. These are my thoughts.
Those are great. So let's keep the ideas coming. But again, I think the ideas, we also want to get action items here. The town is full of ideas and really helpful. But I think I think one floating in there is how do we get passes for the startups to go through some of the wonderful events. I know MIT's got some wonderful events in the Media Lab. There's 3,700 at times. So let's think through that. Go ahead, Alex, and then we'll go to Judah.
Great. So Alex Fedosov, I'm with Foundation doing full stack AI consulting. And we are technically a non-profit, so we are ready to help to everybody as part of our mission. And yes, I would like to second Paul on the action items. We don't have much time left, so maybe we need to put like a list together for the next meeting where with items where everyone can contribute something practical things to do. So, and from our side, I'm happy to talk to somebody who's in charge of putting together this website, and we can provide like AI-powered chatbot for this website for free. and we can develop it really quickly. But yeah, I can talk to somebody who's in charge of the website. So that's my action
That'd be
item
great.
for the next
Oh,
meeting.
Yeah, so now we've got action items already starting to form the Google Doc. So Adam, feel free to add your name there. If you want to do an AI blueprint, Massachusetts, some website I started, that's great. If you got another one, that's great as well. Go ahead, Doug.
Yeah, so I'm Doug Williams. Oops, just somebody.
Doug, you're coming through as E40-170.
Yeah. So I turned my that's the conference room I'm at MIT. As Nico said, we've got a robust network here at MIT, and we've developed software to pull the network together, and we're beginning to open it up outside MIT. So Rosemary and other people, we're allowing people to post jobs. There's an opportunities, and we're beginning to allow people outside MIT to join. So send a email to me at dougw1@mit.edu. I'm in the list, and we can join, show our AI tools for entrepreneurs. But we're also being encouraged by the alumni that are funding us to open this up, specifically to benefit this area, but eventually expand it beyond. So we're in early pilot. We've probably got 400 people outside MIT, 5,000 people inside MIT. So, it's good to be brought to this, because one of our goals is to basically the alumni remind us that our goal is not just to benefit MIT, but it's MIT and the world and the mission for MIT. So reach out, and we can help make our tools available. You all can be in the early pilot.
That's wonderful. Doug, thank you so much. We only have 10 minutes. I aspire in every meeting to end it 5 minutes early. I rarely get that done, but that's my goal. Jude, I think he had to go to his board meeting. Jude, are you online? So just a quick update. So I couldn't believe 3 weeks ago we didn't have an AI job fair in this town. And we now do. But there's Northeastern has one. So the contract is signed. It's June 6th. All day at Heinz Convention Center. It's in room 200. It's a small start. It's going to be 25 exhibit tables. There's going to be 2 or 3 speakers. AWS is already confirmed. Maven CEO is already confirmed. So we want to use high, interesting speakers to bring in top level talent. It's free for exhibitors. We're aiming for 1,000 right now. Exhibit tables are $5,000, and we've sold 3 already. So there's lots of interest in it. To register, you put your URL in, and we're seeing Lou's on there. We're seeing interest already from passive job searchers at medium to high levels here. So it's interesting to kind of seeing where things go. And one company, Lex, which bought on their Portland is their headquarters. They opened up 6 AI positions this week that are all funded. And they bought a table after a 10-minute call here. So it really is a need. And everything I keep saying is people tell me it's completely broken, is the digital job search right now. So a company puts up a job description and 500 people apply and they're overwhelmed. The job seekers applies a bunch, never hears back. And I continue to be dumbfounded, surprised at how many data scientists and engineers and AI people ask me for companies that I would recommend. I'm like, your phone's going to be ringing off the hook. They said it is. It's too overwhelming. So I think that complement, an analog, a non-digital lane is what this is trying to contribute to. So that's that. Javed on the line. Javed, you want to share your vision and ask for help?
Sure. Yeah. Thanks, Paul, and great to meet all of you. I'm David Muhammad Ali. I worked with Paul for a number of years. I know some of the other people here as well. Worked in recruiting, in HR tech of many kinds, lots of startup experience. But apropos to what people were saying before, 3 of my most recent startups, the funding came from California, not Massachusetts. So there's something to be said there. Ex-Googler, ex-McKinsey. 3 things. One is I wanted to tell the group, if there are any Googlers out there, there is a very active ex-Googler network. It's basically a Slack group, and they have events, they have networking, they have co-founding, they have mentorship, really a very robust set of applications. It's called Zooglar.com, or .co, you can go check it out. My idea and what I want help with, and maybe I can offer help to Andre and others, is I wanted to have a program for middle schoolers and high schoolers around generative AI, where they can use, it could be fun projects. Like the sense I get from speaking to teachers is there's a lot of fear and sort of pushback on using Gen AI for students, which is fair, right? You don't want plagiarism and you want them to be honest about their work. But there's also the positive side is, can we use Gen AI for something interesting, innovative, create a paper, even a funny idea was, write a thank you note, and then the teacher or someone has to guess whether it was generated by AI or whether it was done by a real person, right? So fun things that they can do to get their feet wet, so to speak, and can scale all the way.
Java, people interested in that should contact you and you'll figure
Yes,
out
please.
Yeah. Great. It's wonderful. Java,
and
with individual. Go ahead, finish up.
Just one last thing. I'm doing a health tech startup using AI for predictions of various kinds in healthcare. So if anyone's interested in that, please reach out as well. I'll add my links to the page.
Wonderful. Thank you, Java. Let's go to Larry. Do the hands up. Larry, and then Rosemary.
I just wanted to make a comment, and I know this is a group that's trying to help the state. Would you, and we have all these lists of different places to go to try to find people. We have good recruiting firms in the state. Would you, or would we as a group be willing to have a list of some of the recruiting firms that place AI people? I mean, we do this every day, and I will tell you, recruiting them is recruiting good professionals at all levels who have AI experience is a very arduous process, but it's being done, and we are being successful, but it takes time and energy. So I think for companies who can afford and are able to work with firms, we should be a resource as well.
Larry, I love it. Can you reach out to me, and we're happy to create a thing here.
Sure.
I think the more we can do to have it shovel-ready things for companies thinking about bringing, hey, where should I put my 40-person AI team? Oh, look at the state of Massachusetts. It got a shovel-ready thing. Here's all these recruiters. Here's all these resources. Here's space. I think that's fantastic, Larry. So happy to do that. I think I continue to hear fragmented information, fragmented stuff here that's all solvable digitally.
I have an idea, Paul. What if we took an initiative to create a set of playbooks around all of these things that people are saying are hard? I mean, playbooks are supposed to be action-oriented. They're supposed to be focused on particular tasks. They can be knitted together to create a playbook collection. But I mean, I was just recalling what Rosemary said earlier in the call. I think that that's sort of where we need to go so that it really does feel like we have something that somebody can pick up and then do something with immediately.
Great. Are you raising your hand to do a draft?
I can certainly draft a proposed list of those playbooks. I'm not sure I can draft them all myself, but I would love to help on that.
Great idea. Can you add yourself to the list here? And I think the playbook against a specific business problem to me is really interesting. Like, I'm thinking about moving my where should I put my AI startup? Boom.
And it can be Massachusetts specific, not just the general stuff that everybody else has about, like, how do you start something and all that.
Wonderful. Go ahead, Rosemary. And then
just a quick thank you to everyone. The messages I've been receiving is so encouraging. I did want to add my own 2 cents for how I want to contribute. I think that the perspective of actual founders, especially early stage, first time founders like myself who don't have a bunch of like support or whatever network, I'm willing to like lead the charge to be the voice that speaks for all the founders in this forum, in that like partnership with government, figuring out, because I'm looking through the website, and thanks Rory for sending that over, but there's not a lot of emphasis on first time or early stage. It's more for it seems to target more established companies in that way. So because AI is such a new field and everyone's learning at the same time, it'll be great to have specific programs dedicated to supporting founders in that way that are fresh and new, and because the ecosystem just requires that. So I'm going to add on the worksheet to sort of coordinate with other founders to make sure that we're speaking with one voice and that we're taking advantage of all the opportunities that are out there coming out of this setup.
Rosemary, thank you so much. And thank you for being the voice of first-time founders. I think a lot of people on this call want to help people like you. So thank you. Go ahead. I think ECE.
Yeah, Edge. My name is pronounced as Edge. One of the hackathons I joined was Mindfire Global. They're situated in Zurich, and it was for a company how to attract, recruit, hire, and retain top technical talent. So one of the strategies was collaboration with some societal initiatives and offering mentorship, intern programs in conjunction with these STEM-oriented organizations. I don't know if this might be an option for some of the existing companies or the startups to collaborate with organizations such as I have listed some of them in the meeting chat, like Code First Girls, Girls Who Code, Ladies Learning Code, Mother Coders, and everything like that. And the benefits would be the recognition of that company in societal sustainability, while they have a chance to bring and train a pool of resources in tech to hire and help the purpose in creating a diverse team.
That's great. Thank you. Lots of great ideas. We're going to end in 2 minutes. David Berlin, go ahead now with your new item.
What's my action item? Sorry, sorry, Paul.
Oh, you added an item. Dave Berlin, see who can keep live events.
Yeah, I just messaged you in Zoom. I'm happy. Yeah, there was a request at the beginning to see who can keep that working document or the Excel sheet updated. I know there's a few different forums. I'll see if I can put together something and have it relatively automated so it can just scrape everything in Massachusetts, in Cambridge and Boston in the AI space.
That'd be wonderful. So we'll go end here. So tell people, keep getting the word out about this. It's every first Friday of each month at 5 o'clock. The Zoom meeting's recorded. It's totally open here. There's totally volunteer here. And this was a fabulous meeting number 2. And Rory and Ian, thank you so much for joining from the state. And thank you everyone for really caring about our region. I think we have an opportunity here. I'm personally tired of hearing about the defeatist. I don't want to hear defeatists. I don't want to have a bunch of ideas. I don't want to have a bunch of smart ideas. I want people like we're doing here. We're having very tactical ideas, and we can make a difference. And we've already seen small things happen, dude. Man, imagine we do this 12 months in a row. 12 months in a row, we get 3 things done each month. We're going to have a lot better spot 12 months from now. So wonderful. Thank you, everyone. Great meeting.
Thank you all. Fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.